This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Football Friday rolls on. Big second hour. Don't forget, about a half hour from now, we'll do some picks with my dad to wrap up the week as we do it each and every Friday throughout the football season. Looking forward to that. We're on top of what's a great weekend of games. Bison have their home opener. Jackrabbits are at home tomorrow night for Drake. UND's got a biggie tomorrow afternoon in Missoula. South Dakota has its home opener with Northern Colorado. No better to give us the update on what's going on with South Dakota football. Our guy Jay Elsen from MidCo's Sports joins us. I was joking with Jay off air that he's had a little bit going on this week, especially with USD. And the news yesterday, you reported just sucky on Charles Pierre Jr., the All-American running back, is done for the year. Do we know when this happened?
He was injured during the first half against Lamar. And I think initially it wasn't feared to be a big deal. And then as they got into the week, I think they learned a little bit more about just how severe it was. My understanding is that this particular injury is not one that always requires surgery. And so unfortunately he fell into the vast minority in terms of the percentages of that. So it's horrible luck. He went out of the game in the first half. They worked on it a little bit. They got him back out there, and then he got out there for like a play or two, and that's when he fumbled at the one. And that was it was on that play, and so he never came back. Talking to Travis Johansson early in the week and just asking him like what the status was, I think there was still a lot of optimism there. I don't think Travis thought we were going to be talking about this kind of thing at this point. And then as the week went on, I think things became a little bit more clear that it was a little more serious than they thought. And he was going to have to be on the shelf, which obviously is horrible news. I mean, he's one of, if not the best running backs in all of FCS football. Just 1,800 career yards, had a tremendous year last year. Was going to get his chance finally to be the bell cow guy. After, playing alongside Travis Tice for such a long time. Charles is a great kid too. And, you just feel terrible for any athlete that has to go through something like this, but especially when it affects the team in the degree that this injury affects South Dakota specifically. So, next man up though, right? I mean, that's what they always say. LJ Phillips is going to get his chance now. Reed Watkins, the transfer from Texas that was a redshirt with the Longhorns last year, looked really, really good in fall camp. He's going to get the number 2 duties, and then they've got a walk-on freshman, Carson Fletcher, just kind of blew him away with what he was able to do when he came in. So they still feel really good about the 3 running backs that they're going to be leaning on from this point forward. What they don't have is the home run hitter that Charles Pierre Jr. was. And that's just something he was going to be tough to replace no matter what, but especially in that particular area. You just can't rip the lid off like you could with him.
Now, we're watching some of his highlights from last year, Jay, and that's exactly how I would describe him as well, just home run hitter. He got the ball, and he was normally going to go for an explosive play, and you can't replicate that no matter what you have there. That's the difficult piece for a guy like, I just think of Bauman, who, when he signed up to come back in, right before Christmas time, he was going to have his 3 All-American offensive linemen. He was going to have this guy back, and he's got none of them now.
Yeah, it's tough. And I sat down with Aiden this summer, asked him that. Obviously, we didn't know about Charles yet then, but about, Joe Cotton and Bryce Henderson defecting after he had made the decision to come back. And I said, I mean, if you had known that was going to happen, then would you have made that decision? He said, I wouldn't have even thought twice about it. Yeah, this is where I want to be. I feel like we've got unfinished business. And so, I mean, it's got to feel like it's piling up on him like it is with the team, certainly. But Aiden is, one of his best and most redeeming qualities is just his value as a leader to that team. And if anybody can pull them out of the doldrums here of what they're experiencing, they've got a couple other injuries. Keandre Jones-Logan was injured in spring ball as well, Dom. So that's another one that just a significant piece of this offense is just not available. They are very hopeful that Keandre can get back by the end of the season and maybe get in enough games to still qualify for a red shirt, whether it's medical or not. And so they think they'll have something from him down the road, but for a Lions part of the season, it's going to be those 3 guys we talked about.
Jay, I'm interested. The loss at Iowa State, I mean, Iowa State's good, I still was surprised with the score. But then last week, you can't lose at Lamar. Just the vibe around this team right now. And then have this in the home opener. This is a lot of negative around a football team right now.
It really is. And I mean, that's when I sat down with Travis yesterday just to talk about our pre-broadcast kind of stuff and have a conversation. That was the first question I asked, like, how are the guys doing right now? I mean, it's got to be tough. You can see the fans, how it's affecting them. But if you're in the locker room, you have to imagine that it's exponentially higher, right? Because you just have so much of more direct attachment to these guys and all the work that has been put in to have this championship caliber team and season and all that. And he said, you know what, Jay? He's like, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised at how well our guys are holding up from a mental standpoint. He's like, practices have been fantastic. We're locked in. Nobody's getting down or feeling like sorry for themselves or sorry for the team. It's just like, hey, we got to figure it out. And so you're right. I mean, nobody thought they were going to go to Lamar and lose. And when you play a football game where you allow 65 yards passing, you allow 3 yards per rush, 204 total yards.
Right.
You turn the ball over 3 times, and you still only lose by 7, but you lose the game. Like it's just like one of those what ifs. Every team has what ifs during a season, but that's certainly a massive one. And down the road, if they get things turned around, it's the type of game that could keep them from a more favorable seed. Certainly. Now, certainly, they're going to hope that Lamar runs off a bunch of wins, right? Maybe
Exactly.
it doesn't look so bad, but because that was a team that was getting better last year, but they were still picked 4th in the Southland this year, and so it's not, a Valley powerhouse team like South Dakota or a South Dakota State or a North Dakota State. Those are the games they go on the road, and they don't just win them; they win them convincingly, and it just didn't happen this time. And circumstantially, there were a lot of things at play. Certainly, not having Charles the entire second half of that game didn't help. But it was the mental errors and those things that they couldn't ultimately overcome. And so now you're in a situation where you come home, you get Northern Colorado, you get Drake, chance to get right before you get into the Valley at least. But then, of course, your Valley opener is in Fargo. Not ideal. So you definitely want to be playing some high-quality football by the time you make that trip north.
And I know I talked with Johansson about this at the Missouri Valley Media Day, that they have the schedule where they play every week. Their bye is at the end of the season, so there's no time even to regroup before come to Fargo or even after last week's game because it's 12 straight here.
It's you're already beat up.
Yes.
So you can imagine once you get into the meat grinder that is the Valley, how much more beat up you're going to be. So he made the comment to me, and I did think, thinking back on it after he made it to me yesterday, he's like, Jay, it feels like, this team is kind of early version of 2023. They went to Missouri. They were making some weird decisions in a game that they felt like they should have been even more competitive in than they ultimately were. And so he's just like a lot of new guys. Like they have 40 new players, 20 some transfers, whatever it is. A lot of guys that they were mostly backups on that team that did what it did a year ago. And so he's like, guys figuring out their roles, and for the first time in the college level, they're the guy at their spot and they're trying to figure it out. So, he remains very, very confident in his group, the talent level that they've accumulated there. But you've got to go out and figure it out and get the results. I can tell you this, he doesn't care if they win by 1 or 50 tomorrow. It's just got to happen. They've got to be in the W column after tomorrow.
And on top of that, we have Jersey Gate as well, as you were reporting that give me the backs. USD wanted to do it whiteout. They wanted to wear its white jerseys, and Northern Colorado said no.
Yeah, they said no, and which is their right.
Yeah,
let's be honest. I mean, when you're the visiting team, that is your right. We're not talking about a Northwestern Tulane situation where Tulane had a very specific reason that they wanted to wear white that was much more sentimental than a whiteout. Yep. But yes, normally if the home team says, hey, we'd love to wear white, we're doing this promotional thing, most teams are going to say yes. I don't know Northern Colorado's perspective on this, so maybe they have a very valid reason, but ultimately it just adds a little extra layer to tomorrow, and fired some people up on the Twitter machine or the X machine this week. So So that was fun. Yeah, we threw that out there, and
Oh,
yeah,
man.
lots of comments about red seats and
Yeah.
white shirts and red jerseys and all that. So, everybody was having fun. We're in full swing in the trash talk realm
Yeah.
already in the college football ranks.
September 12th. We're in midseason form for everybody on that. There's no doubt. I want to get your thoughts on what you saw from the Jackrabbits so far through 2 games. I think there was a section of fans, especially in Fargo, that thought, well, the amount of guys SDSU lost, they're not going to be as good. I was not in that camp. I thought they're going to be just fine. Now, did I have them winning in Bozeman? No. I'm not surprised they did. Where do you stand on where the Jacks are through the first 2 games?
Well, Matt Zimmer wrote about this week. He said, with the schedule that they had, they easily could have been 0-2, 1-1. Instead, they're 2-0, right? And they're coming home with Drake and then Mercyhurst the next 2 games.
Correct.
So Dan Jackson's done a great job. That was a tough spot, right? I mean, you lose your entire coaching staff. So you hire Dan. He's got to hire an entire new coaching staff and get everybody on the same page. Not to mention find a whole bunch of players to replace and guys that are capable of performing at the level that you want. And I will say this: the guys that stuck it out. Guys like Chase Mason, Quentin Christensen, this is well documented. I mean, their leadership through that was tremendous. And they had buy-in from the guys that they convinced to stay with them before any of them ever stepped on a field together with Dan Jackson leading the practice in the spring and whenever else. So I think that was a huge piece of it. I think, Dan has continuously said, this group is so close. And I do think with the results that they've been able to get in the first couple of weeks, that has shown. I don't think Sacramento State is very good.
No. Nope.
And that's a game that definitely felt like they left some things out there that they should have won much more convincingly than they did on the scoreboard. Now, statistically, it was very convincing. And so I think that they just left some points in the field. Last week at Bozeman, going to Bozeman and winning, there's you cannot take anything away from them in that. That is a tough thing to do, especially in the last 10 years or however many years. But we're also learning a lot about Montana State. Like, they have a lot of pieces to replace. And so I think this is kind of more true of a lot of FCS right now, Dom, is that they were so pillaged in the portal this last year that while teams, they have this number next to them, and I don't know if it means as much as it may have in the past because there's just so much more unknown than there's been. And so Montana State's going to be a good football team. There's no question. I just don't know how good they are right now. And I don't know how good South Dakota State is right now. I know that they've got a tremendous win last week and that they started this season 2-0, and that I have very little doubt that they will be a massive factor in things down the stretch with the way that they played and with the way that defense has come together. In particular, Chase Mason has handled every challenge that's been put in front of him to this point tremendously well. Going to Bozeman, as a first-time starting quarterback and figuring that out, getting it done in overtime. I mean, that's a huge feather in his cap as the new leader of this offense. But a lot remains to be seen. But yes, the early returns are super positive for them. There's no question.
Before I let you go, my producer Eric Bonnell is a fellow Wisconsinite like yourself. Are you more super high on the Brewers or the Packers right now?
I love that I have to consider that. That's first and foremost. I mean, we can't all be Mets fans.
Yes.
So,
well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it's like, I'll ride or die with the Brewers forever. And as soon as we get into the playoff, I'm not paying much attention as much as I was leading up to the start of the regular season in football. Once the Packers get started, it's hard for me to focus on anything else. Packers and Badgers both. Although I'm just hoping they get out of Tuscaloosa without losing by 60 this week. So yeah, no, I would say equally excited, but just seeing what has been put on tape the first couple of weeks at Lambeau Field. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm more excited about that defense than I think I've ever been. I'll say that. And they weren't always terrible on defense, but I haven't felt this way since the Reggie White era. I'll tell you that much for sure. They look really awesome. And the disruption that Micah Parsons has caused the first 2 weeks, people are like, oh, his numbers, he's not worth 47. I don't know if you watch what I'm watching.
Yeah, right.
But they're accounting for him on every single play, double teams. He's still putting pressure on the quarterback, still causing turnovers, even indirectly by the pressure that he's putting on the quarterback. And he's got a sack and a half in 2 games that were 4 days apart. So on a back that was supposedly not great. So
right.
I think, there's lots of reasons to be very excited about what's happening in Green Bay right now. There's no question.
Great to see you, bud. Have a great call tomorrow, and we'll talk soon, okay? I'll probably see you in Sioux Falls before I know it. So, all right.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. I'll see you in Fargo in a couple of weeks.
Right.
I'll be up there, too.
Sounds good, bud. Thanks for doing this, bud. Thanks again for the time. There he goes, Jay Elsen joining us from MidCo's Sports. He'll be on the call tomorrow for South Dakota and Northern Colorado. Is this like the greatest thing ever for you? The Brewers can't lose. Packers are apparently unbeatable. Like, you're just on top of the world here, right?
Well, I don't want to say the Brewers can't lose because we just got swept by the Rangers, but
yeah, that's right. You got swept by the Texas Rangers,
they're pretty good.
We're playing the Mets this weekend, so I need the
now I need the Rangers to keep their hot streak going. Like, I don't want to see the Mets in the playoffs after last year. You guys ended Bob Uecker's career. I'm done with you. Get out of here.
The Mets have to make the playoffs first. That's a whole other.
Hey, who's winning the Mets-Yankee record? I didn't look.
Oh, the Yankees are right now. There's no doubt on that, considering the Mets just got swept by 4 in a row in Philadelphia, which is, I got to hear about that from my buddies back home, too. So
I do want to complain about the MLB scheduling of yesterday being 9/11. Why weren't the Yankees and Mets playing each other?
Or one of them playing, and the Yanks played at home.
Both played at home, I think.
No, the Mets were in Philly yesterday. So
okay. But they need to figure that out. Like, they should play – because – that would be perfect for their firefighter and police thing that they do every year.
They haven't done that. They don't do well, especially now that you can play interleague games whenever. I guess you could do that. That's not a bad. I like that idea. That's not bad. All right, let's break. We come back, got a bunch of emails to get to wrap up the week. And don't forget, about 15 minutes away, we're doing picks with my pops. Back on Hot Mic here on a Friday morning after this.